What's up? Welcome to Models and Agents for Beginners, episode 102 for July 14th, 2026. Let's break down today's coolest AI news so anyone can understand it. Some awesome AI developments today, and we're going to make all of it make sense. Let's get into it. You know that feeling when an old book suddenly feels like it belongs on your phone instead of a library shelf? That is exactly what happened when Ethan Mollick asked an AI called Fable to turn the catalog of ships from Homer's Iliad into a working website. The result is a clean, clickable site that lets anyone browse Greek warriors, their fleets, and their leaders without flipping through pages. Think of it like asking a super organized friend to take a long, dusty list and turn it into a museum display you can tap through. The AI did more than copy words. It sorted the information so ships and leaders appear in clear sections with helpful headings. It also spotted two real mistakes in an older English translation that careful human readers had missed for years. This matters because it shows AI moving beyond quick summaries and into building actual tools for school projects or personal curiosity. A student could ask something similar and end up with a shareable map or timeline instead of another plain document. You can visit the site yourself and click around to see how the list feels when it is interactive. Then open any chatbot and ask it to turn a short passage from a book you like into a simple web page layout you can open in your browser right away. Okay, now for my favorite part of the show, the deep dive where we look under the hood. The key idea here is how the AI tracks connections across a whole text at once. You know how when you're reading a long group chat, your brain still knows who said what even when the topic jumps around? The AI does something similar but with every word at the same time. It breaks the text into tiny pieces and checks how each piece links to the ones before and after it, almost like drawing invisible lines between ideas. Those lines help it decide what becomes a heading, what becomes a list, and where a table would make the information easier to explore. The same linking process let it compare the old translation against patterns it had learned from Greek texts. Instead of guessing, it noticed where the English did not line up with the expected structure. That is why it could point out actual mistakes rather than just rewriting the story. The payoff is that these connection skills turn raw words into something you can actually click and explore on your own. Let's move to cool stuff and try this, where we look at two other interesting updates you can play with today. First, the very first GPT model has had all its internal numbers released as 80 separate files anyone can look at. All the numbers that made up the very first GPT model are now online as 80 separate files. Anyone curious can look at the actual building blocks of early AI. The files contain the complete set of numbers from that original model. People can examine the building blocks even though the files will not run it like a chatbot. The release makes the raw components available for direct inspection by anyone. Think of those numbers like the raw ingredients of an early recipe that later models built on. Second, researchers noticed that the AI called Claude sounds warmer or stricter depending on the language you use. Claude changes how warm or strict it sounds depending on whether you're chatting in Hindi, Arabic, or Russian. The same model produces different tones across those three languages. Researchers are studying why the shifts occur. The goal is to make future versions more consistent no matter which language is used. The pattern was noted in public updates from the team behind Claude. Imagine the same person changing their tone when they switch from chatting with friends to writing a formal email. Try opening a chat with Claude in English, then switch to another language you know, and notice how the personality feels different. Time for quick bits, the short and surprising stories. The first GPT model's numbers are now public in 80 files. Anyone can examine the actual pieces that made up one of the earliest large language models, though they will not run like a normal chatbot. Claude changes how friendly or strict it sounds based on the language you choose. Researchers are studying the pattern so future versions can stay more consistent across languages. And that's a wrap. If any of today's stories made you go, that's cool, go play with it. Curiosity is how every expert started. See you tomorrow, and if you'd rather watch than listen, find us on YouTube at Nara Network. Links in the show notes. And before you go, this show is part of the Nara Network. a family of daily podcasts on tech, science, and markets, each one a short, sharp briefing you can finish on the commute. If today earned its place in your feed, here's your next listen, OmniView, a balanced daily world news briefing that takes every side seriously. Find every show free at naranetwork.com. New to the network, naranetwork.com/start-here picks the right daily briefing for you in about 2 minutes. This episode used AI voice synthesis of my voice. Editorial selection and analysis are my own.